Okay, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world watching this. First webinar of 2020, I think it is. First one, close enough to it. Yeah, crazy times going on in the world at the moment. If you're watching this on record at a later date through YouTube, we are currently in the midst of COVID-19. So pretty much everything has shut down. We're restrained to our home gyms or home setups. Hence why we wanted to put this little webinar together, the do's and don'ts of home workouts. For those of you who don't know me, we've got a couple of new faces on the call tonight, which is awesome to see. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason. I'm the Director at ProFit International Health and Fitness. Been doing this a long time. Actually, I'm not going to tell you how long it's been. It's been a long time. Dealt with pretty much everything, although the current situation is completely new to me, as it is for so many other businesses out there. Look, dealt with so many things over the years: obesity, anorexia, all the psychological issues that go along with these things as well. Worked in the gyms, worked as a mobile PT. That's what we're currently doing now, as well as all the online coaching. Worked pretty much everywhere: the hole in the wall clubs, the bigger chains, everything from mums and dads just trying to drop a few kilos to some of the more elite athletes. It's been a wild ride, but this one definitely takes the cake. Look, this is an interactive webinar, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to throw them up in the chat. That's what I've got over here. So if I'm looking this way, don't think I'm just staring off into the distance. I do have my chat on my second screen here. Awesome. So look, we are, I don't want to say stuck with home workouts. There's tons that we can do at home or out and about. I know the parks are currently getting shut down, so it's rough times, but we're going to make do, and hopefully you can take away a few little bits and pieces out of this webinar that you can put to good use. Look, if you do have any questions, feel free, like I said, throw them up into the chat and I'll answer them as best as I can. Hopefully we won't take up too much of your evening or morning, wherever you're watching this. Again, thank you all for registering through Zoom and hearing us live. If you're watching this on record on YouTube, again, thank you so much for tuning in, taking the time out. It does mean a lot to us. But let's jump in. I'm not going to talk about myself all evening. First thing, what we want to do here is look at the equipment that you've got and the tools that you can use instead of the weights. So this little setup here, this little image that we've got here, to set that up, excluding the TV, of course, all the weights, the kettlebells, dumbbells, the rack, something like that would be, in the current market, probably about $7 or $8 grand. It's the dumbbells and the weights that rack up the cost. The rack itself, I know that's probably one of the cheaper ones. It's one of those wall-mounted ones. Even so, you're looking at probably close to $1 grand just for the rack. Again, barbells, I've seen the barbells go anywhere up to $500 for a barbell. You can get some cheapies out there as well, which is always nice. Facebook Marketplace is always a great place to look. However, you do need to be specific with what you're actually going to look for. If it's just a little squat bar, again, a bit of a sidetrack here. The barbells, if it's just a squat bar you're looking for, you can pick them up for about $200, $300, brand new. Or some of the more higher quality, the deadlift bars, the ones that are designed for dropping, all the Olympic lifts, the CrossFitters use, then you're probably looking at that $400 or $500 mark just for the bar itself. Then you got to add the weights. Dumbbells, anywhere from sort of $5, $6 a kilo. So I mean, you look at 20 kilo dumbbell at $5 a kilo, they racks up. The plate weights, again, these particular ones here are bumpers. They've got a little bit of a rubber matting around the outside. Ridiculously expensive. You can get some cheapies, but they're obviously not going to last. Kettlebells, I'm not going to get into kettlebells. Kettlebells are stupidly overpriced. But what can you use instead of these weights? There was a time back when you know, we weren't making any money, and you know, we still want to work out. Didn't have a gym membership, so hey, strap a couple of house bricks together, some of the old telecom rope. For those of you here in Oz, you all know what telecom rope is. It's that blue and yellow. It's not even twine. It's plastic rope, basically, what the council use. But you know, what can you use? Dumbbells, obviously, just bottles of sand or water. They always work a treat. The kettlebells, again, shopping bag. Chuck something heavy in your shopping bags. They're all heavy duty now, anyway. A bench, obviously, like that's probably going to be a staple of any sort of home gym. But kitchen chairs or a coffee table works just as well. Chin-up bars, underside of a staircase is what I personally use at the moment since the gym's shut down. Of course, I do have a couple of my ladies on our online coaching, one-on-one coaching sessions. Actually, just throw a rope over one of the beams in the veranda, and you can do your chin-ups that way, or your inverted rows. Tons. Get inventive. Get excited about what you can use, and just it's probably one of the more exciting things that you can do is just designing new ways to train. Barbells, like I said, these things here, anything that's heavy. I remember I was working away for a couple of weeks and didn't have access to a gym. I was out in the middle of nowhere, so I just used my suitcase. So works as well. Again, broomstick if you've got access to like a piece of down or a sandbag. Loads of cool stuff that you can do with that. Basically, the staples for what you need. Some sort of hand weight, dumbbell or a kettlebell work, but both just as well. Weight's weight at the end of the day. Something you can do any sort of pressing movements with, so like a luggage or a broomstick, and then something that you can use your pull with, so underside of the staircase, ropes. If you've got resistance bands as well, I mean, duck down to Kmart or somewhere cheap. Kmart usually sells some great quality stuff on the cheap as well, which is always cool. Pick up some resistance bands. They're probably going to be one of the best investments that you can make for a couple of bucks each. They're golden. Yeah, I mean, so when it comes to, you need to get more, so maybe you need to get out more if you think finding toys to work out is exciting. I know, I'm not going to deny it. I need to get out more. Hey, you know, what is it, day 4, day 5 in isolation at the moment? So it's definitely interesting. But you know, when you are designing your home workout, I'm going to get a little bit boring here, and you know, it's got to be safety. Safety is number one. There's no point going all guns blazing and just, you know, shooting yourself in the foot with, you know, some sort of injury. Then you've got to take all these steps back. You know, make sure everything is in good working order. That's a no-brainer, that one. I know a lot of people get excited about, you know, the idea of getting out and training and doing something fun and accelerating their health. It's great. Don't get me wrong. That's brilliant. But play it safe, and you know, equipment in good working order. So if your broomstick for your bench press is a little rotten, perhaps, you know, it's going to snap on you, right? Hazard identification. Look, OH&S is so friggin' boring, but it plays a huge part in everybody's business, actually, for that matter. Hazard identification, like if you've got power leads running across the ground, it's a trip hazard, right? Spilt water, like everything, spilt water bottles, something as simple as that can cause a hazard. And you know, I get picky with it. You know, coming from running various gyms in my time, you know, you've got to pick up on every little thing, even down to, is the equipment suitable to use, like frayed wires. What we didn't have in this photo was any sort of pulley systems. You know, if you've been to the gyms before, you know, they use a lot of pulleys and cables. If those cables start to fray, yeah, they've got a huge load rating on it, so a little bit of fraying will still hold the weight, but technically they're not allowed to use it, or to a certain degree anyway. Something that we may not think of here is your first aid kit. Look, it doesn't matter how much depth we get into and how safe we think we are with our home workouts. It always pays to have a good first aid kit stocked and in date. I know a lot of people I talk to don't actually realize that first aid kits can go out of date. Well, most of the things in there are in date anyway. Again, joint stability is huge. Proper footwear is one thing that we don't usually cover with our home workouts. But you know what? It pays to have good quality shoes. And, you know, we say that particularly with our one-on-ones, it's, you know, people will come to us and say, hey, my feet hurt, or, you know, hey, my ankles hurt, my shins hurt, whatever it may be. First thing we do, start at the bottom and work our way up. Okay, shoes are huge. Like, you know, when I've been talking smack about Nike for so many years now, until, you know, we popped down and saw one of my mates at a shoe store, hooked us up with a brand new set of Nikes. Hated Nikes until I saw these. Go and get fitted. That's all I can say in terms of footwear. Go and get fitted from someone who knows their shit. That's the big thing. And obviously that will stabilize the ankle joint as well, reducing any sort of risk of injury there. But that's the boring stuff anyway. Be safe. That's probably the best advice I can give you. It's the boring one, but it makes the most sense. Moving on, a lot of people, when we talk about home workouts, and it's great to see, like every second post on my Instagram feed and my Facebook feed, it's all about, you know, home workout this, and hey, I just did this at home, and blah, 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 blah. Awesome. Love it. But what I want to pick out here, I want to get a bit nitty gritty on this one, is, are you training or are you exercising? Now, I know for a fact a lot of people that are posting these photos have specific goals in mind, right? So they need to be training in a way that will further them towards their goal. Okay, hence training. Everybody can exercise. Like any exercise is a great exercise in my book, just some are better than others. So if your goal is to run a marathon, what are you bench pressing for? See where I'm going with this one? So it needs to be specific to your goals. It's the whole SMART principle again, you know, specific, measurable, attainable, results orientated, and time bound. Okay, and we cover all this in our one-on-ones as well. Like, I know there's a lot of peeps doing our one-on-one training. That's what we work on. It's an oldie but a goodie. You know, that's the basics of it there. The other thing here is cardio versus resistance. I threw up I can't remember what I posted. I think it might have been on one of my stories, Instagram stories. Cardio versus resistance. And a lot of people will ask me why I don't actually program specific cardio. Well, 90% of the time I won't program specific cardio into my training plans. It's because if you're doing your resistance training correctly, you don't necessarily need specific cardio. Unless, of course, you have a cardio goal, i.e. running a marathon or something like that. So I think my resistance training today, my heart rate peaked at 100, I think it was 168 or 170 or something today, just from strength training or resistance training. So I didn't necessarily need to go out and go for a jog. Right? I'm still training my heart. I'm still training my circulatory system, still training my respiratory system, while I'm doing my strength training. 2 birds, 1 stone. Okay. If I'm going too fast, or if you've got any questions, again, throw them up in the comments. You know, that's what we're here for. I have kids, so my Carla, I have my kids, so my health and safety is out the window. Okay, fair enough. Next one along, what we've got here is when to train. This is what I wanted to touch on here. Don't know what that is. When to train. A lot of people ask me, hey, is it best to train in the mornings or in the afternoons? Look, if you usually train in the evenings, keep training in the evenings. If you train in the mornings, train in the mornings. So when I personally train, or I like to train first thing in the morning. It just sets my day up on the high. You know, I can go and get out and get my steps up through the day. I know what I'm dealing with. I've got a lot smaller target to hit when it comes to the evenings. Currently my target is 11,000 steps a day, hitting it relatively easy. But you know what? After I train, I've done 10,000 steps and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so I can, spend the rest of the day, sit on the computer, doing my admin, answering the emails, etc. So that's personal preference. If you don't like to train in the morning, don't train in the morning. It's as simple as that. So long as you're getting an effective workout in. After breakfast is another great option. There's extra calories in the body. Just on this one, I do want to touch on the just after breakfast point. Using nutrition, and I don't know if I've covered this later on, but I'll touch on it now anyway, I guess. Using nutrition to benefit your workouts is a big deal. So basically how we want to structure your nutrition is proteins and fats are relatively even across the board. And I know we've covered this in a previous webinar, so flick back through YouTube and have a look for this one. I think I've entitled it Designing the Perfect Diet. But just around this particular one, I'll make it nice and easy. Proteins, fats stay relatively even throughout the day. Your carbohydrates, that's what we base around your training. So if you're training, let's say you train after work, okay? You start your session at 6 p.m. Coincidentally, if you're coming to a boot camp, your midday meal, your 12 noon meal, should be relatively high carbohydrates because it gives the body that time to break down those carbohydrates and utilize them as energy. Okay, so you'll have much more benefit using the carbohydrates from 6 hours ago than you would having a high carbohydrate meal hour and a half, 2 hours prior to a session. Making sense? And same thing if you're training in the morning, make your late night meal higher carbohydrates. It's got that full night's time to sort of break down the carbs and get them into the system, ready to go first thing in the morning. Okay. Again, lunch break workouts are always great, especially if you're on a time limit. You get in. There's none of this stalling between sets. It's none of this Facebook or anything while you're working out. I know that's one of the big things that I like about working such long hours is that you do have limited time to train. So you're in and out, nice and quick. Again, we've covered this one. Evening, cooler temperature, there's nothing left for you to do the day, so you can just basically focus dead on that workout. So it doesn't matter what time of the day you train, they've all got their pros, they've all got their cons. It basically trying to keep the same structure for your entirety. I know, again, like I said, this COVID-19 in isolation, routine has gone out the window. So we do try and keep things quite similar. But yeah, we are flying through this one. This is a good one. Top tips, last one for the evening, just some random top tips here for you. If you do have any questions, again, throw them up. We've got a few minutes to spare at the end, so hey, why not? And yes, this is my Mr. Cool mug. Top tips, have your plan. So if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. Okay, or what is it? Piss poor planning promotes piss poor performance, something like that. So have your plan, know what you're going to do, know what you did previously, know where your PBs stand. If you don't have a plan, get yourself a coach. They will do one personally for you. That way it is specific to your goals as well. You're not just wandering around in circles doing whatever. Okay, again, keeping things regular. If you train with headphones, train with headphones. That's something personally I'm going to trial that tomorrow and see how we go. Might end up with a decent session. Again, training your workout gear. You don't want to be training in your PJs or training in your work gear. Again, keeping things quite similar. Record yourself with videos. A lot of people will hang shit on you for this one, especially if you're posting them quite a bit. But check your form. So that's the big thing here is keeping your form, especially in this time where we're not very hands-on with coaching. We're not out doing our group sessions. We're not out doing as many one-on-ones. The gyms are shut down. You can't just call someone over and check out your form. Again, send this through to your coach. You know, hey, what do you reckon of my squats? And they should be able to, to offer you some constructive criticism there, if they can pick anything up, of course. And of course, the best ones, throw up on Instagram, tag us, do what you have to do. Running buddies. Running buddies are great. It's making a date with a friend so that you will train together. Okay, and it comes back to this accountability stuff. So your accountability, someone has to be there for you. So whether that's a friend or a coach or someone that will keep you on track and kick your ass if you stray off track. We've all got these certain goals and these certain targets that we need to hit for each session. That's what you need to do. That's the joys of having a running buddy. Okay, they're going to help you get to those goals. Maybe even further those goals each and every time, which is cool. The last thing I want to touch on here is complement your training, complement your home workouts with accurate nutritional numbers. I've said this time and time again, hit your numbers. So not only calories, but proteins, carbs, and fats as well. It does get a little more complex than that, but that's the basics of it. If you haven't got these nutritional numbers down packed, you're just slowing the progress, maybe even hindering the progress a little bit. I know that one bad meal, and this is from experience, one bad meal can set your progress back, depending on the meal, 4, 5, 6 days. Okay, so that's the impact of one bad meal. If you're tracking your nutrition, and we touched on this on one of our videos, I know this is on Facebook because I posted it not long ago. If you are tracking your nutrition effectively and you're tracking your output effectively, if you have I nearly dropped an F-bomb there. If you stuff up with your nutrition and you do have a bit of a blowout one day, if you've tracked it efficiently, your coach should be able to save that week. Okay, you don't want to get into the habit of that because that next week is going to suck for you. So that's the beauty of it, tracking those calories. If you do have a blowout, you can save it. Fingers crossed. And yeah, guys, are there any questions at all from tonight? Anything you want me to go back and touch on? Anything you want to add? Throw them up in the comments. Ask a 9-year-old though, Nag. I've met your 9-year-old, Ness. Cool. No questions at all. Awesome, guys. Yeah, it is crazy times at the moment with isolations, and being outside is illegal and such. So that's not illegal. But yeah, stay strong with these ones, guys. I am here to help. If you have any questions at all, please feel free, reach out. That's what we're here for. And yeah, we will do our best. We've got a few extra things coming up over the next few weeks and months. So stay tuned. It should be quite interesting. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Have a great morning. Again, wherever in the world you're watching this, I really do appreciate everybody taking time out of their not so busy day anymore, just to spend it with me. Cool. Thanks, guys. I will chat to you all again very soon. And yeah, stay safe in this crazy time.